Guten Morgen, good morning. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation from BioTrope, from your very, very tight schedule, and you could come to BioTrope. For this occasion, we would like to introduce you, Professor Paul Kesler. Professor Paul Kesler graduated from University of Kaiserslautern and his PhD in 1986 from Kaiserslautern University of Hamburg, and in 1982 to 1986 Volkswagen State Research University of Hamburg, and in 1987 to 1988, Director Botanical Garden University of Bielefeld, and 1988-1989, postdoc position of DFG at Rijksherbarium Leiden, the Netherlands, and 1989 to 1912, Research National Herbarium of Leiden, Leiden University, and 2006 up to present, Perfect Hortus Botanical Leiden University, and February 2017 up to now, LUF Chairs of Botanical Garden, Botany of Southeast Asia. So this is my introduction. Perhaps you can give why you accept our invitation.
Yeah. Ibu Sri, thank you so much for the kind invitation here. It was really, I'm very, very happy to meet you again because we know each other for such a long time.
Right.
And we had a common project together in Palu from Storma project for a long time. So we need from the content, but also personally very well. So I'm really glad to be here, and I'm of course would like to share my knowledge with you and your students. I think, as you know, I have worked in Indonesia for a very long time, since the 88 actually, and have quite a lot of experience with field work and especially from with tree species, especially in Kalimantan. And what I have done together with the counterpart institution at that time, Probenbos, and the faculty or the Ministry of Kehutanan, Forestry, we developed several herbaria new for Indonesia in Wanariset, Samboja, 38 kilometers north of Balikpapan, but also in Berau, in Palu actually, with or at least we helped them to establish it very well and better. And so your question is probably, why should we do that? And I think it is really very important that you have in an herbarium the information available on the flora which you have in your country.
Yeah.
You are such a diverse country within the flora, fauna, but also with people. So it is good to know more about it. And herbarium and Museum Zoologie, they can already have for a long time what you can analyze also. So you can compare probably 35 years ago or 50 years ago what you have now. And I think that is very important in that respect. And what you also see is actually that students should learn about plants, because many people are now what we call plant blind. They even in their direct environment, they cannot see the plants actually. They only if they use
Google.
yes, then they see only probably it is something there or is nothing there, but that's all, and that is a little bit of a pity, I think, because we are so depending on plants.
Thank you very much for what we have done for Indonesia. We appreciate very much, and also appreciate of your developing the some herbaria in Indonesia. And as the result of the Storma project, Indonesia, IPB, Göttingen University, and University of Jambi, and Tadulago University, we can apply and carry on another project fellowship for the research in Jambi.
Yeah.
And I was assigned also to develop the herbarium in Jambi. And this is, Sulawesi has the Palu herbarium, and we hope that in Sumatra, Jambi also has. Now is Andalas University.
Yes,
They have
yes,
the
I know.
comprehensive.
Yeah.
I think thank you very much for talking about this, and we will carry on in the podcast.
Yeah.
And Dankeschön.
Ja, bitteschön.
Terima kasih for this short talking.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to BIOSync podcast series Simeo Biotrop. I'm your host Saiful Bahrin. Now today we have very special guest joining us. Our guest is true expert in botany. He is expert in botanical garden and have a lot of experience research in Southeast Asia region. We will hear about his introduction later on, and absolutely now, let me introduce our esteemed guest, Professor Dr. Paul Kesler from Leiden, from Hortus Botanicus. Good morning, Professor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Probably I can introduce a little bit myself, what is my background and why I'm here actually. That's probably a good idea. Indeed, what you said, I'm the scientific director of the Leiden Botanical Garden in Leiden in the Netherlands. This is the oldest botanical garden in the Netherlands, but also north of the Alps. Next year, we have our 435th anniversary.
Wow.
And you know the oldest botanical garden, the Kebun Bogor here in Bogor, is 207 years old, so half of our age, so very young still, and we are really the oldest, or one of the oldest one. And we have very much interest also in the Southeast Asian flora, especially also in the Indonesian flora, due to our links in the past. And I have already worked for more than 35 years in Indonesia, and have indeed quite a lot of interest in plants, but not only plants in forests or in the wild, but also in urban flora. And what did that make this change actually? I think that is very easy to describe, because as you know, also not only you here in Indonesia, but also we in Europe and especially also in the Netherlands, we had the COVID time.
Okay.
And during the COVID time, of course, people were not allowed to gather, come to the botanical garden and so on. And that was for us, quite difficult, because we were used that people would come to the botanical garden. And we have not so many visitors as Keboraya Bogor, but we have also for Dutch environment really very many. And our staff was very upset, because what could you do for your visitors who are not coming? So we thought about what was possible. And then I had a very, as a team, we had a very good idea. We should ask the citizens to look at plants in their neighborhood.
Ah, I see.
So if you are going outside your house and you were allowed, to make a stroll or walk around, then we said there are also plants, but usually people do not see them.
Yeah, I agree. So how you build the, curiosity of the society to the plant?
That is of course, people first, or our visitors came first, of course, to see the curiosities. Usually the most oldest plants we have is more than 200 or 300 years old. We have but many orchids from Indonesia. We have carnivorous plants, so plants eating insects or others. Also very good collections and so on. So that are the plants people are interested in. That's very often the case. Mm-hmm. You are more interested in what other people have than in your own things. So we say always, there's a saying, the grass is always greener with the neighbors. So they are much better than yourself. And that was also one of these kind of things. But what we did is actually, I was, as a scientist, interested in plants which are coming from the southern Europe, say, and can be invasive, so meaning is very negative, but we have the climate change and the climate gets hotter, so the chance that plants which are not originally coming from the Netherlands, coming from the south, especially Italy or Spain and so on, is big, because the environment in the cities are so hot already that they can survive easily. Mm-hmm. So, and then my staff said, especially our head of education, she said to me, Paul, if you have a proposal about exotics and invasive species, our citizens will get afraid, and they will be it's a very negative term, and they really don't like it. And really, one day later or so, she came to me and said, Paul, I have invented a new Dutch word, and that is stoepplantjes, meaning pavement plants.
Can you show it to the audience?
It was not yet available in Dutch, and stoep means pavement, and plantjes, of course, plants, smaller plants.
See. That's very soft term to understand.
And positive.
Yeah.
Because if you are going out of your room or your house, then you can see, if you look carefully, observe carefully, these plants which are there, but which nobody has seen before. Because we call it plant blindness for men, for human beings. So that is very often, if you are going probably to Biotrop on your way from your house, I'm very sure if you are taking the motorbike or whatsoever, you do not see the plants left and right along the street. And if I'm asking you, what have you seen? What do you see? What do you tell me?
Plants.
Green.
But I don't know what is it.
In best case.
Okay.
So that was our idea. And that could be done very easily also at home during COVID time, because people could look around, see what were growing. Also, there was a interesting manner developed in England and in France, that you have chalked around the plants and wrote the name of it on the pavement. So people would have a look. This is this plant, and then you can use, of course, the scientific names, but also the local names.
Okay. Prof, can you explain more about how this book was developed? I mean, did you go to the field, collect some samples, and how do you communicate the books to the audience?
Yeah.
Can you please share with us?
We start actually with this mini guide,
Okay.
which has only a limited number of species inside. You see, it's probably, I don't know, 50 or something like that. And these are, what in the negative case you would to call weeds.
Okay.
In the cities.
Okay.
So, of course, there is already much done in the past, but we made extra photos. We made the key, like here you have a key where you can identify. It is in Dutch, unfortunately. So that is, of course, you have to look for the citizens, and they, of course, use the keys then. And so that actually combat plant blindness, because if you use the keys after 1 day or 2 and you do it regularly, you can recognize the plants. So we did that, and you see, we have partly written it ourselves, but also included other parties who are also or who are available for these kind of research activities. And of course, all these plants are also checked. So there are plants in the herbarium, not with the herbarium of our garden, but we have in Naturalis the national herbarium. So we work together with these people. So if we find something, we pre-identify them and then let it check by a colleague who is an expert, of course.
Okay, Prof. This is very interesting one. First, I really want to know. Can you share how the audience, how the guests, or how the society engage with these ideas? And the second one is, are the plants is native or invasive? Because you said it before, and how to building the awareness of the society about this kind of information?
Actually, what we did is also, this is of course more a outreach program from the garden. So trying to get the information we have as scientists translated in a language that normal people can understand.
Yes.
What we did is, I told you before, of course, we expected that the people would come to the garden to learn about that. But now during COVID time, we also went to the neighborhoods and to schools. So with, so as an example, when we went, our education team went to SMA school or whatsoever. Then there we have these kind of mini guides with us. We have also chalk with us. We have persons, of course, who know about that. And then the pupils are going outside with their guru and so on, and have a look what is on the plane of the school, as an example.
Did they take the samples?
And they take the samples, or not always. If it is something rare, you don't do that, of course. But these plants are, of course, usually not rare because they're very common in the whole of the city. So that is not so not bad. But we have also kind of neighborhood houses where elderly people come together, drink a coffee or whatsoever, or go to the library or whatsoever. And also we are going there, also giving lectures, but certainly we always try to involve them also in the activities. And what we are doing is, and that was in the second step, I was able to raise money for a PhD student of mine who is has a more citizen science approach. And she is has developed quite a lot of things. Among them, of course, we have a website where you can make photos of these things. You can download them. Then the people know that this species is in Amsterdam, this is in Leiden, this is in Rotterdam, and so on. So we involve the citizens first to deliver data, but that is not enough. We are also asking them what kind of research questions they have, because usually it is sending by the scientist, but we want to have a co-creation process, so we involve also the citizens, and that is it is more time consuming, but you get very interesting questions also.
Okay, Prof. It is very interesting learning model. I mean, learning model from the Leiden involve the citizen, and citizen can engage with the nature, and they build their curiosity. I mean, we have a lot of schools from elementary to university. Which part of do you have any target, and which part of the city do you have any target?
We have quite a lot of targets, of course, as we are part of the university. Of course, and I'm a professor at that university. Automatically, you do something for the students. We have, as an example, what we call summer courses. That is usually 2 or 3 weeks for students, and but that is not only for biology students, but for all students can contribute from all disciplines of the university. So that means if you are studying medicine, you can join. Or if you are studying Indonesian language, you can join. Or German language, whatsoever, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you have the interest, and then we develop these kind of of course we give courses, we give lectures, some practicals, and so on. But these students have usually 4 or 5 students together in a group. They have to deliver something, a practical outreach.
Okay.
And the practical outreach is usually some activities during a science cafe, which we held in the Botanical Garden.
Okay, Prof. Is there any opportunity if, we can make the program like a summer course? The student from the Leiden come to Indonesia or Biotrop. Is there any opportunity to do something like that?
There is, in my view, no problem to do so. The only problem is usually the money.
Yeah.
That is. But what I always say, we should always try to have many backgrounds together, and that means actually, of course, Biotrop is known for very. I see so many flags here. So what I always would say, link different nationalities, backgrounds to each other, because you will get more output.
Diverse point of view.
And what I always learn, certainly as a German coming here, you're young people. You have so many young or young generation. They have so much fantasy, they have so many ideas, and also elderly people can really learn from them.
Okay.
And I think that is really possible. And of course, you will not find every plant which is here in Bogor or in Jakarta or in other cities, but the system is the same. What you're doing, it is. Like you just mentioned invasive or exotic species. Here in Indonesia, practically all planted species are from South America or Middle America. They are not from here. So, yeah, it's true. I was very happy this morning because when I went out of my guest house here, I luckily saw one tree of my
Your interest?
from my interest, Anonaceae Cananga odorata Cananga, which is from here and is not from South America.
Yeah. We have plenty of the.
Yes, of course, you have plenty of those also. But and so if you have groups here, they can really join also with citizens from here, because you have certainly many people also from your own staff living here. So you could even have the sat pumps involved, you know. They know probably much better than you, in a way. In some cases.
From the common name.
Yes.
Common name, yeah.
Like
they are very expert on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Professor, it's how they connect to Botanical Garden. Is there any website or something?
Yes, we have, of course, a website for that, and our PhD student, of course, has developed this with other parties. We have in the Netherlands also already quite a lot of applications where you can identify certain plants. So
you mean mobile?
Mobile.
Okay.
Ops Identify is the one for the Netherlands. You have many international apps, but we have developed for our own flora, for our wild flora, I must say. And sometimes you will see that if you make a photograph and upload it in these apps, will not recognize because it is coming from Italy or from the south, you know. It has been transported by human beings to here and is already quasi established.
Okay, come back to BIOSync podcast CMA by Trop. We'll still with Prof. Paul Kesler from Leiden, Hortus Botanicus Leiden. Professor, I heard that you have been invited to IKN, Ibu Kota Nusantara in Indonesia, as a resource person. Probably you can share what are your ideas or what they want to know, and we can get some valuable information and so on. Can you please share your vision, probably? Thank you.
Yeah, I am very pleased to be invited, and the reason for that is I scientific career actually in Samboja, Vanariset Samboja, 38 kilometers north of Balikpapan.
Okay.
And that is, if you're going inside, then you already reach very fast the surface of the IKN.
Okay.
So I was also visiting the area together with Ibu Mirna and others and colleagues from Indonesia, but also from some other universities in the Netherlands. And of course, I'm so interested in that area because I have done together with my staff in Vanariset Herbarium many studies in that area. So we collected from 1990 onwards very many plants, and at that time mainly trees, because at that time the state of the forest was still quite okay, not 100% of course, but really quite okay. And so in the Vanariset Herbarium you have quite a lot of data available from that area. So actually kind of basic data,
okay.
Because we have checked all these herbarium specimens, not only by me or by certainly by my counterpart Pakade Sidiasa, who unfortunately already passed away. But what we did is, because both of us were of course not expert for every tree family, we divided, we collected at least 10 to 15 duplicates of one individual tree if possible, and then divided it to many colleagues in, as well as in Herbarium Bogoriense, of course,
yes,
to other herbaria, but also herbaria in Leiden or in the Netherlands and in American England and so on. especially to the specialists.
Okay.
When we knew, like Peter Ashton, who is or was a specialist in Dipterocarps in Marandi family, then we directly sent the material to him because we were sure that he would better identify the specimens than we did.
Okay.
So that was our aim at the beginning, and we have also published some books about the primary forestries, but also secondary forestries in that area, and the seedlings of them, and so on. So we have a good baseline. I understood from Pak Bambang and Ibu Mirna that Indonesia is planning the new capital in that area, but as with the goal also to let about 65% of the surface forest.
Okay.
And that was the other thing, is that they also plan some botanical gardens in the city, which is covered relatively wide. So that was probably the idea that that the authorities thought I would be a person who could advise a little bit on that aspects.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing the information, the valuable information. So we are come back to talking about urban biodiversity.
Is a little bit what I always say is you need very much co-creation with the people living there or will living there.
Okay.
So you have, of course, many local people are already living, but later or actually soon also people from Jakarta are moving to that area. And of course, what is, I think, very necessary, that you have a kind of co-creation process, so that you bring these groups together so that they can also develop their questions. Because sometimes, of course, if a city is not green, usually the mental health of people is very low. Let alone if it is if you have quite a lot of cars and motorcycles and so on, you have, of course, much CO2, much NO, much bad gases and so on. But plants are helping you actually on a natural way to reduce these kind of things. And not alone that, but of course they absorb the heat. So that means and produce the oxygen which you and me need to be able to breathe. You know?
This is the part of the climate change mitigation. So, Professor, do you have any example one about how the concept has been implemented in the Europe or somewhere else?
Yeah. You see, we have discussed earlier about the pavement plans, and we were not only active in the citizen science aspect or the science aspect, but we were also active, especially also as my PhD student and others, on the more policy making aspect. And I think that is very important. It took a few years, of course, and you have to discuss, you have to present, you have to invite politicians, also administrators, and so on. So you really need to be in discussion. And I think 1 year ago already the city administration of Leiden has adapted our new word stoepplantjes instead of weeds. And of course, they are luckily also not combating anymore all the weeds. They have seen that, of course, if you would like to walk and if you are handicapped, you do not want to have 2 meter high plants in the middle of the pavement because you cannot pass. So that is not what we want. We want that in areas where these plants do not disturb human activities, they are not going to be removed. And that has been accepted in in Leiden, and when I was last week in Kalimantan, I just read a newspaper article that also the big city of Utrecht, in the middle of the Netherlands, has accepted these things. So they are not speaking anymore about weeds; they are speaking about pavement plants. And of course, for us as scientists, where we very often it's difficult to have our ideas proceed to politicians and administrators, we are really very happy that these people now accept our concept.
So, how the government policy accepted? I mean, what they concern?
Yeah,
and
what you know, in the Netherlands, very often it is that there are some activities usually planned around the greenery in cities. So the grass has to be moved 2 times a week or something.
Yes,
it's not the reality, or you have to use hot water or heat to remove the weeds on the pavements and for the whole breadth or width of the pavement. There is you are able to start with the mowing in August, not in August, in April, and you stop in October, something like that. These kind of rules citizens administrations have, because they usually very often not doing themselves, but there are companies who are doing. So they need this you have to do. If you are not mowing the grass every 2 weeks, you get not all the money and all these kind of. You see, that is of course, and so if it is now said that not all the pavement, but only 50 centimeter nearby the house is you are not to do. Yeah, that has also implications to the company, of course.
Okay.
And that is what has happened now, that and sometimes there are also, of course, in the city of the center, probably there is another approach than in the neighborhoods outside, because in the city's centers, it probably many tourists, many people walking. There are shops nearby, and if it does not look nicely, the tourists said, "Oh, what the hell is that?" You know. But in an outer neighborhood, that might be not so important, you know. So they are thinking about much more now. About the concepts.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. So, because this is very important, what we are doing should be have broad beneficial for others, and the government has the role to make it happen.
But actually, also the people are making it. Because I have neighbors, they have a very nice wild plant in front of the door, and they chalked it and said, "People, do not cut this plant because it is biennial, and so in the first years, you know, it has only leaves, and only in the second years it has the long flowers. But if you remove the leaves, you will never get the flowers."
Of course.
So they said, "City of Leiden, do not remove this plant." You know, they are also really active. So that's really good. Yeah,
that's very interesting, because the people now become more aware about the environment, the ecosystem.
Precisely.
And they not just have the point of view like, is there any plant? Kill it by the herbicide, kill it
Precisely.
by, and so on. So they more care about the environment. Okay, Professor, we are come to the end of our show. But before we end off this session, I want to ask about the maybe your message, the key message for our audience and the young generation to more actively building the curiosity to the environment. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really astonished. I had some very nice meetings and actually practical things with young students and pupils from schools yesterday, also in Jakarta. And what I feel that people, the young generation, is really now interested in green. But I think we as scientists can help them to look more carefully for that. But we need a language they understand. And probably my language is not the same as their language. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are fully technically adapted. So if I give a lecture, it's probably not the best thing to do, because they are using other techniques and other communication channels and so on. So I think we have also to think about how to be, that these stakeholders these groups can be connected. And I think if you give them also responsibility to do so, they have good ideas. I have seen that yesterday, really. That they said, oh yeah, we didn't know that this is, but if we're looking at that, yeah, I can tell my mother and ask my mother or my grandma, what did you do with that?
Okay, thank you.
You know, and that is very important. And for my concern also, if you're looking at IKN a little bit, I would always suggest, certainly in these circumstances, use the plants you have already there. So natural, not import exotics or too much, but you have so many plants there which are native to that area, and they can be used very, very nicely. And they are also different. So you can also explain that your new capital is different from the other things. And I think it can help if you use the local biodiversity actually in that respect.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. That's very important key home message, because we don't want, if the foreign people from the Europe or somewhere else come to IKN or Indonesia, they found, hey, this is same species with my
I come from Miami or something like that.
Yeah,
Florida or whatsoever. So that's
okay. Thank you very much, Professor. Once again, we are very lucky to having you in this session, because this is very important topics, and we will want to build the what do we call the same intention, that people are more care about their environment. Okay, thank you very much for this session, and see you in the next episode of podcast BIOSync CMA. Thank you and bye-bye. Can you give some? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.